Hey folks, Glenn May here with BassResource.com, and I'm here with my friend Justin Kerr, FLW pro. Has been fishing as a pro since 2002, but you've also guided for what, 5-6 years or so, maybe longer?
Yeah, I used to guide back in California when I lived there. Yeah, for a long time.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about guides. Guys, if you're looking to get a guide, like, what are some of the things that you should look for? You know, you look on the website and every guide says they're the best.
Right.
Right? It's like, how do I figure out which one is right for me? What should I expect? So let's start with finding the right guide for you. Help me, what should somebody look for in a guide?
My first thing would be someone that's really familiar with the area or the lake. Someone that just moves into town and wants to start up a guide business, been there maybe a year. You know, you could have great days, but you're not going to have days where someone that has the experience 5 to 7 years, 10 years on a body of water. So for me, it would be somebody that's been at that place for a long period of time, that knows it the best because they obviously, they're bass and they love to swim and move. So that's one of my things is having someone that's been on that lake for, you know, at least 10 years, you know, or 5 to 10 years. And someone that has a lot of tournament experience. You know, that's a big thing with me is fishing tournaments, and I feel that the guys that fish tournaments are the true guys that really understand bass fishing. And you know, someone that's successful and fishes tournaments and it's also a guide, and been there for a while, you're gonna get the 3 good things and you're gonna catch bass.
Now, is that because they fish so many different conditions?
Yes.
Throughout the year?
Yep.
So they really know how to get on the fish.
Yeah, and tournament situations are always different than everyday fishing. It's always under pressure, and same thing with a guide trip. Sometimes your clients aren't having a great day because it's not that good, and all of a sudden your local knowledge and ability to figure out fish, and boom, you figure something out, and then it turns into a magical day. So
that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Total sense. Now with the guides, if you've never hired a guide before, like what kind of expectations what would they expect to get if they hired a guide?
You know, yes, no, it is bass fishing, so you can always have bad days. You know, I remember having a lot of trips where, you know, guys would be all sighing here and there, they're not catching nothing, and you know, that goes with the territory, you know. So you can have a day that's phenomenal, and then you can have a day that's bad, and that just comes along with fishing, plain and simple. It is fishing. So I just kind of, you know, think that you can't be upset over having a bad day, especially if it's someone that is a very good fisherman and is known for being a good guide and a good bass fisherman. You can't be upset because it does happen. But you know, if you hire someone that's just right off the deal, that you have no idea what they're about and they're not catching anything, hey,
right,
it might be your own fault for not hiring that right guide. So it's good to do your homework and check it out.
Should you expect to bring some lures and some rods, or do all guides supply all that? Or
it depends. It depends, and you know, some people have their favorite rods and reels to bring and lures. But you know, when I did do it in California and was a guide, I let people bring whatever they wanted. But most of the time, I had all the equipment that you need, because usually you have to have top of the line stuff to make sure everything's perfect.
Now, what about food? Guides supply that? Or?
Yeah, you'd make a whole gourmet meals for them. No. Yeah, you bring your own waters, and you know, it's got to be important to have drinks and some snacks, and you know, you ever get off the water, you can always go get dinner, and you know, that's how I've always ran it. I'm always usually supplied the waters and drinks for somebody, and because you don't know what types of food they like, you know.
Right,
so
right.
That's
I've hired some guides, and sometimes they bring snacks and crackers and sandwiches, and other times you show up and they're like, well, I got water.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So it actually really pays to talk to them first.
Yes,
and
always.
Find out.
Always communicate with your guide before you go, either the night before, or at least 2 days before you hire them. Just talk to them. And usually if they're a good guide, they're willing to help you out, and then, you know, talk to them about everything, about bass fishing and what you're going to expect fishing, and drinks and food, and usually have a better day.
Now, with guides, what about tipping? I know it's kind of expensive, a couple hundred, you know, spend a few $100s, right, to go out with a guide. Is tipping expected?
It's not expected all the time. You know, it just depends on the person. You know, if you feel obligated to tip them, feel free to tip them. You know, I always liked getting tipped, obviously, you know, everyone would, but yeah, you're already paying $400 or $500 sometimes for the guide trip for the day. So to me, that's a lot of money. So I don't expect a tip. But if someone was generous to give me a tip, hey, I'll take it, you know. So But I just try to make it enjoyable for somebody, and if they're not having a good time, then they're not going to tip. So
Right.
try to make it to be enjoyable and have a good time fishing.
Great, great. What are your thoughts on a guide picking up a rod and fishing or not fishing? Some people, I mean, it can be controversial.
It is.
Right? So
It
what are your
is.
thoughts on that?
That is a very touchy subject with a lot of people. Personally, me, I don't really fish until it becomes a point where it's not happening, and I got to figure something out. And if I figure something out fishing, then that's what I do. So I'll start out the day. We'll go throw a worm or jig or crankbaits, and it's not happening. I got to start fishing, because we're not going to go and fish all day and not catch anything. So because fish change so much. So I'll fish if it's not happening. I'll fish if it's going good. I won't fish at all.
Okay.
So, but that's me.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
I've heard some people say, "Yeah, that guy, he was just pre-fishing, and
Right.
I was paying him to go pre-fishing for his
Right.
next tournament."
Right.
So I can see the
Yes.
the balance in there, and I can tell you, some of the best guides I've been with actually fished also. While so I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
I actually learn things that way too,
Yeah.
because everybody fishes a little bit different. And if you're ever in a boat with somebody who has lots of experience like Justin here, it's great just to watch them work their craft. You learn so much. So even if he's catching fish, I'm still learning and I get value out of it. So think that through when you're thinking about getting a guide. It's more than him just taking your fish. Anyway, that's a lot of great tips,
Hey,
Justin. I really do appreciate it. If you're looking for a guide, take those things into consideration. What it does boil down to is what you're comfortable with and communicating with the guy that you want to go out with. For more tips and tricks like this, visit BassResource.com.